This is Detective Grit with DSN 1301. Case number is 12-5307. This is going to be an attempted interview with APD Maine. It is the 15th day of March 2012 at approximately 2:25 p.m. You can decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements. You understand that?
Yes.
Do you understand each of these rights as I've explained them to you?
Yes.
Having these rights in mind, you brought your stuff down here, so I'm guessing.
Yes, and I have a few questions.
Sure enough.
To clarify.
Yep.
I was so upset after the last time. I actually called a friend's friend who's a retired detective and, you know, kind of went over some things that happened. And she gave me advice, and I told her how I felt I'd been treated, and she agreed that it was a little, like, didn't need to be that way. So am I a suspect?
No.
Am I a witness?
Right now you're a witness. Okay, but I wouldn't be reading you that. I can't say you're not a suspect because we don't know what your involvement is at this point. You may be involved and not know it.
Right.
Okay.
The other night I was told I was not a suspect, not a witness. Just, you know, basically an investigative lead is what I was led to believe.
Right. Well, you're a witness because anything you've seen and some of the stuff I'm going to ask you today, you're going to tell me about stuff that has happened around your family area there, your home, and things like that. So, yeah.
And do I have to answer these questions?
No, you don't have to answer them. Like all that stuff that I just read you, as long as you understand that, you can stop at any time and go on from there.
Like I said, I have nothing to hide. I'm happy to answer anything you want, but if I feel like I'm being treated like I was last time, I will invoke my rights.
I don't think
also, just because I'm advocating for myself doesn't mean that I don't care, that I don't think it's important, that I don't understand the importance of this, that I don't want this poor girl to be found. It has nothing to do with that. But again, if I had not had friends here, you could have had another girl disappear. You know, I had no money. I had no way to reach anybody. I had a couple of numbers, but no phone to use. I had, no driver's license to get money out. I had nothing. I didn't have money to get a cab. I didn't have anything. Anything.
Understand.
And honestly, like I said, I've tried to be as honest as possible, and I went back and as much as I could remember, I went back, I found everything I could for you. So hopefully this will help.
All right. What I did is I printed out some calendars, to make things a little better.
I did the same thing.
So, and you wrote on them already?
I did.
Sweet.
And I could, if I had my phone and calendar, I could be more specific on a couple of these days.
That's all right.
And I did bring the list of things I would really like to get back if possible, that I don't think will affect the case.
Okay, we'll take a look.
So, I looked back. Izzy and flew out the morning of the 2nd at 6 a.m. He was home on the 1st when I went to bed.
What time was that?
I went to bed about midnight.
Okay.
And he was there when I went to bed. And he was just packing and cleaning and, sorting out stuff in the garage and everything.
And was down there too?
Yes. Well, she was in bed. She went to bed about 9, I think.
Okay.
I do remember, I have some questions for other things you asked me. I have some answers for you that I'd like to tell you if you want to know.
You go do it in any way you want to.
Okay. So he flew out this day, the 2nd.
Yep.
I flew out the next morning at 6 a.m. I have the passport from the cruise when I checked in. I have the cruise confirmation that we got on the cruise on the 6th.
Okay.
So there's the itinerary he sent to me, and there's a card proving that I was, that we got on board the 6th.
Okay.
I hope that helps.
And you were with both of them when you got on. You walked up the gangplank together.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay. So.
And you flew out.
I flew out the morning of the 3rd, and I got there really late that night, and then we stayed. I remember we spent 2 nights before getting on the cruise, so spent the 4th and 5th. So I think I got in really late or something.
Okay, that's one of the questions we had was, you said he flew out here and then you flew out.
I honestly, again, had you given me my calendar, phone, anything, I could have told you the exact dates.
We didn't have the
calendar
calendar at that time, so we
yeah. I mean, if you would have let me have any of my stuff, I could have been more exact.
Okay, so
I'm not have a good memory. I'll be honest.
You can remember up till there.
Yes, these I'm I'm pretty much like 99.9% positive.
Where did the cruise go when you were
It went to, I checked that too because I couldn't remember the name of the first stop. It was Progresso. was the first stop.
Okay.
Second stop was Cozumel. So 2 stops. And we basically just hung out on a beach. I was with them the entire time in Cozumel, Progresso, entire time, except I think he went to try to get money out of an ATM.
Okay.
He went to a store to get us some, drinks and stuff. Other than that, I was with him the entire time.
Came back on this day.
This is the day the cruise came back.
All right. And
I was picked up by a friend, and he drove with to his mom's house, which I now have the state
about what
city.
time?
About noonish, 1 o'clock. I mean, I don't know exactly. My friend is in China, but she could tell you about when she picked me up.
Okay.
But I believe it was around noon, 11 or 12.
Okay. And here you were in New Orleans these 2 days,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay. Which is the 4th and the 5th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember we went to a parade one of those nights.
And this, do you remember any more about the rental car that he had there? Picked you up in and you guys
No,
took
I
off
don't.
in?
Honestly, I don't. Like, I was trying to think back. I remember... Yeah, I'm trying to think back. I know it wasn't huge. I know it wasn't like a Hyundai or something.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of remember it like not having a trunk, but more of a hatchback. But I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you. I don't remember.
All right. But it definitely had, 4 seats. It didn't have 2 more behind the rear seat. And it wasn't a big old Suburban or anything.
No, nothing like that. And, I do remember in the back seats, so there had to have been 2 rows of seats. I don't remember if it was like 4-door or 2-door. I can't remember that.
Okay.
But I do remember I have to like sit up front or anything.
All right. Okay. Go ahead.
So this is when the cruise ended. My friend picked me up. He went to his mom's.
Right.
Originally, I'm almost positive that they originally supposed to be back the 14th because I saw a note from at home when I got back and tried to clean up the disaster zone that said, Dad, this is hoping we have a good trip from the 2nd to the, 14th was something her note said, and I should have brought that actually.
Okay.
But this sounds right. Well, then I talked to him when I'm in Florida somewhere with, I think it was this day or this day. I just remember I couldn't get through to him. And he said that he had gotten the rental car stuck. His phone battery was almost dead. He had, his cards weren't working. And at the time, he couldn't figure out why. But then he said that it's just because he had been traveling and hadn't notified the credit card companies, but he didn't think to call them. So, I don't know. It was just like a big mess. And he couldn't afford to fly back. But his family came to get him, give him money for gas so he could get gas. And he redid his flight for the first day that wasn't crazy expensive because the first few days after were too expensive.
Okay.
I thought back, and I remember him picking me up at the airport when I flew back the 22nd.
Okay, so he was here.
He was here. I do not remember what day he got back without having some of my stuff. If I had my phone calendar, I could tell you for sure.
Okay.
But I know, I remember now that he picked me up. I'm almost 100% positive. I mean, I would never say I'm 100% positive because I have a crap memory. Anybody will tell you that. But I remember him picking me up at the airport.
Did he bring Lenny with him when he picked you up?
Yes.
Okay.
He never leaves her at home alone.
Okay.
So, yes.
When he got stuck in the desert, where was she at when he was out?
She was at his mom's.
Oh, okay. So she wasn't with him when he was out in the desert.
No. But I remember talking to him, and he was just a mess, and he was really like, I can't believe this, and he was really bummed and upset, and he's like, he had missed his flight, and that's pretty normal for him to run last minute. He's always running late. He almost missed the flight this morning, too.
But he came back somewhere
somewhere between,
the
here and
15th
here.
and the 21st.
Yeah, because he picked me up.
All right. And he picked you up here, and then...
Okay, so then his sister's wedding. Here's the invitation. Here's a picture of his sister.
Mm-hmm.
Wells, Texas. I got off this invitation. That's where his family is.
Mm-hmm.
And I found it on something else, too. It's like Wells, Texas, mom's. This is.
Okay.
So the wedding was the 11th. Okay, the wedding was the 11th. Here.
Which is
And he
a
flew
Sunday.
out this week sometime to make it to the wedding in time.
Mm-hmm.
Don't remember the exact date again without my stuff.
Okay.
But he flew out somewhere in here,
Okay.
give or take
And he was
days.
with him?
He's definitely with
Okay.
him. And I remember that he didn't have a lot of money, so he's trying to find the cheapest flight, and he said he ended up flying Vegas, even though it was like a 20-mile drive or 20-hour drive, because he wanted to see the sights anyway, and it was a lot cheaper. He said even with the rental car gas, it was cheaper than flying.
Okay.
You know, because of spring break, the flights were really expensive.
Yep.
And then and then I talked to him the morning that all of that, was it the morning all of that happened? I think it was that morning.
I think that's what you told us that day.
Yeah.
You talked to him that morning
I
about
talked to him that
something
morning
having to do with
about
the hot water
the
heater?
hot water heater and the lizard I'm taking care of for him.
Okay.
And I think that's when he said, I'll be home a week from Thursday. I'm like, oh, that long? And he said, yeah, it was the most affordable that I could get. So it's not like he has a ton of money. You guys were asking where he got his money. So I was thinking about that after I got home. And remember, he told me that he had clients who had owed him money. They had bounced a check on him, so they paid him back.
Okay.
And that he had also worked a small job. And I do remember him working out in the garage on something. I don't know if it was cabinets or doors or what, but I do remember he did a small job when he got back. I also,
When he got back the first time?
Yes.
So between the two trips, he was working out in the garage doing something for somebody?
Some kind of job or something.
Okay.
And I'm almost 100% positive. Again, I have a bad memory, but I do kind of remember him working out in the garage on something. And
okay.
So I already told you Wells, Texas, his mom's name.
Mom's name is... Okay.
The gun case that I was saying, I thought it was the new one in the bedroom. It's not. I looked. It's the one that was cut open. It was the old one. His gun should be with his family.
So his guns didn't come back?
Well, they did. They came back the first time.
But
and
they didn't
I
come
have
back...
this time, and then he took them with him this
took
time
them
and
with him
checked
this
them.
time.
Yeah, and he checked them in. And
Are you... I know you say you got a bad memory, and I don't want to... Go through that, and we'll come back to the guns.
okay, so... Again, I just saw the case, so assumed that he had left him here, but that wasn't the case. It was the one. So again, he almost missed this flight. He didn't have the half hour to check in his luggage, so he asked me to pick it up from storage. I did.
How did you get to the airport?
He had a taxi to the airport because I had to work that morning, and he didn't want me to have to wake up. And I remember the taxi showing up, and I remember they were running really late.
Remember who the taxi was?
No.
Okay.
Don't at all. I wasn't.
But he did have a taxi. You remember
yeah.
them showing up outside
I remember them
and them
calling
saying,
and saying the
taxi.
cab is here, and I remember, Dad, the cab's here.
Okay.
You know, so
and
I
that
kind
was
of
the
remember
morning of the
that.
second, and it was.
Yes.
Do you remember what time?
They had a flight at 6 a.m. because it was the same flight I had, but a day earlier.
Okay.
So anyway, so he asked me to pick that up, and I remember being really annoyed by this because I had so much to do that day before I flew out. And he's like, I need you to pick it up from storage, and I have the key with me because I wasn't able to check it in time, and you need to get a new case. So I did that. I got him a new case. I had my friend cut up in the old one and transport the guns, or put them in the new case because I'm like freaked out by guns. Because I had some friends over that night for dinner, so I could see them before I left on vacation.
All right.
So anyway, so he ended up bringing it back with him, and I don't know why he brought them back. It's just, I think it was just because he missed his flight, all this stuff happened, he couldn't get to it or something.
Okay.
So he took it back with him when he left this time, and I'm assuming that's where they are. They're with his family.
Okay.
Because he said he was taking him back there because he was going to drive the Alcan and wouldn't be able to take his guns across Canada.
Okay.
Because he just decided he didn't want to stay in Alaska, and he's going to move to the lower 48 when they move out at the end of the school year.
Okay.
Let's see. The bag of trash that you asked me about with underwear, used pads, all of that was spewed all over my garage, and I can guarantee 100% that was mine.
Okay.
I have been throwing away my underwear because I've lost weight. They're too big on me.
Yep,
So as pretty disgusting everywhere. I know that was mine.
Okay.
And they did take the underwear.
Okay.
Along with a lot of other things. That don't make any sense to me, but I'm sure you guys have your reasons. Also, I don't know if this is important or not, but I vomited in my car. I don't want you to think that belongs to somebody else. I tried to clean it up, but
when was that?
That was over the weekend, like last weekend, I think. The medicines that my provider had me on, she's trying me on different meds, and it got so bad that I just spewed everywhere.
And that's in the driver's side?
Yeah, driver's side. I didn't know if that was important, but I was thinking
Well, I'm glad you told us. And that was like last weekend, you think?
I think so, because there's a bottle of in the car that I picked up the day that you guys showed up. I had just picked it up. I had just gone to the pharmacy in the mailbox.
Okay.
So I have a lot of mail in there, too.
Okay.
I picked it up that day because I called her and told her what had happened over the weekend, how I got so sick, and I didn't want to take the... I like the because it's a pro-drug, so there's not that stigma. It's
Okay.
like not like people can cut it up. Sort of, I'm a medical professional.
Yep.
I don't want to be on that kind of stuff anyway.
Understand.
But it helps so much that I am. So she had switched me to the... And so I know it happened the weekend before you guys picked me up that I was sick because I was with friends or
So
something.
that would have been...
It would have been
11th
Friday or
11th
Saturday.
Well, no, it would have been... we're not even on the right month here.
What day did you come to my house?
13th. So it would have been 10th or 11th.
Yeah, 9th, 10th, 11th. I had the
Somewhere
9th
in
off,
there.
one of
Okay.
those 3 days.
9th, 10th, 11th. Okay.
Possibly the day, possibly Thursday. No, it would have been, it couldn't have been Thursday because I was working. So it had to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
Because it was when I left a friend's house. It was maybe, I think Friday because I went to lunch with my friend. And it was on my way home.
Okay.
It was not pleasant.
Yeah.
Barely made it out of the car in time.
I can
Vomited
imagine.
all over the street that Taekwondo is on too.
I've done it.
It was awful, but I wasn't like sick. My stomach just hurt really bad. That's one of the things I need from the car is because I have no money to pick up any medicines, as you can imagine.
Yep, I understand.
So the other thing I just want to ask you, as I have my list here, they put my address and name on the news. Is there anything I can do about that? It's
We don't put it out, unfortunately. What happened was when we were over there going through your house, we have a big, huge van. And
Yeah.
they listen to the radio, they figure out where we're at, and they show up. And then they were actually standing out there all night waiting on one of us to make a statement, and we didn't.
I've had several come to my door, and I've just told them they're not welcome on my property,
And
and I shut
that's,
the door.
I mean, I wish we could do something more than that, but there's nothing that we can do about it that I know of. I'll ask my sergeant.
That would be
but
nice.
as far as I know, it's, they're the press, and that's the way they are.
Yeah, it's just that, all of my friends are worried, and they have no way to reach me, again, because I don't have a phone, and it's not just that, but it's, my medical reputation. in this
Let me
community.
ask this. I'll see. Sometimes when they're calling us, because they've been calling us, we've been telling them no comment. Okay, and the only reason they got your address is because, like I say, they listen to the radio,
Yeah,
they figure
they
out
were
where we're
there
at, and they
and-
show up, and they stood out there in the cold all night. Because when I went over there, they were still out there, and luckily my sergeant showed up because he had to go talk to them, and I didn't.
Right.
And basically there was no comment, so they don't know what they're there for. They have their
Right.
suspicions. They're
They
like all
suspected it's
over
about
it.
this case,
Yeah.
right.
So what we've been telling them, nada. So that's just the press. That's what they do for a living. So I'll ask the sergeant about that. See if he can ask them to just lay off until,
Yeah.
we'll put out a press release but leave her alone until we get done. Okay.
Okay. I would appreciate it. And the retired detective I spoke with said you might as well give up your privacy, but I'm hoping there's something I can do because, she should just be aware that that's, she made it clear that there's not a lot you guys can do, but I figure it doesn't hurt to ask.
Well, we can look. It won't be
It just
official.
makes me feel really
Yeah, it
vulnerable.
doesn't be. It's not official. But what they'll do is we'll ask and say, she really doesn't want to be bothered. So, if you guys got to go over there do your job, there's nothing we can't stop them. But
if you-
she's asked us to ask you to leave her alone.
And not put my address and name on the news because I just feel like it just puts me in I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't want mine, and I understand completely with that. So, I understand that. That I do understand completely. And you have a list there. Do you have anything else that besides we've got going on?
I have the list of things that I would like to have if possible, and not all of this.
Okay,
is,
well, let me read through it, see if I can read it. And then ask you some
I can
questions.
rewrite it. I was just
No, I can read this fine.
my writing's not too bad for a medical person, is it?
When might? Oh,
Wait, I want to know when I
vehicle
might
back.
get my vehicle.
That
and
one
phone
is going to
back.
be. That one I can tell you is going to be a while.
How
And,
long is a while?
That's going to be up to the DA. I can tell you it's not going to be this week or this month, probably. Okay.
So I basically have no way to get to work, no money, no anything.
Yeah. Now let's go back to this other stuff. These things that belong to you, all this stuff here, this credit cards, wage. I don't make any promises. I have to ask the DA for all this stuff. Okay. And also, so you know, the FBI is involved. And I don't know. I know how the DA works, and usually we can ask them and say, we don't see any value.
Yeah, it's not stuff that he has.
Right. We don't see
use of.
any evidentiary value to it, but unfortunately, the FBI has different standards for things, and we're going to have to go, because we're working cohesion with them on this case, we may have to go and ask them, see anything here, and it'll be up to them. We've already gone through there. I can tell you, I've seen pictures of all this stuff already, I think. So we're working with most of these things. Laptop, I don't know about how long it's going to take our guys to go. I know they've got search warrants for that already, and they're working through it. The phone, I'm working on the search warrant for that. I'm almost done with it. I don't know if I'll get it done today.
Okay, but it'll be soon.
It should
if
be.
it's not going to be soon, if I can get my contact numbers off.
Yeah,
of
the
it.
phone, and we may be able to work something out with that as we go. Okay, I
Okay.
may be able to figure out how to get to open it up and get your numbers out of there.
You
and
can take
get
anything you want out of there.
I understand.
Anything at all. I would have let you guys in my house on a search warrant. You know what I mean? It didn't have to be this way. So
Your friend there, she probably explained why we had to do that.
yeah, she kind of did.
Okay.
And she
I-
she explained why you have my stuff. That if maybe he had access to my accounts, and she kind of told me what you guys were looking for and tried to help me understand.
Mm-hmm.
But she also said I shouldn't have been treated the way that I was. So
Well, right, and there's, it's always easy to armchair quarterback.
right,
So, and
hindsight's 20/20.
exactly.
I understand.
And I can
And I'm
explain,
trying to
and
be
I can
understanding, but-
explain when we go through here a few more things about, and you'll see when I ask my questions. You answered, I think, 2 out of like 10 I got, so
Okay.
we're probably ahead of the game a little bit. Check phone quickly.
I could tell you information if I could check it. I could tell you for
Right.
sure. But this is a good timeline.
We know pretty much. I can tell you right now. I know pretty much all that stuff, and you're pretty close on your times.
Okay, good.
When you flew on the December, you flew on the 2nd. You flew on the 3rd.
Yeah.
Right. Not
Same flight, different days. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
It's okay. You flew on
I had to
3rd.
look at my calendar.
It's okay.
A calendar to know.
So I want to put 3rd here. Okay, is that right?
I'm pretty sure it is because even looked back on the Facebook I sent her and said, yeah, because you were having people over for dinner the night of the 2nd.
Yep. Okay. Mail. Oh, the mail.
The mail
that's
in the
your
car so I
stuff,
can pay my
house.
bills.
Okay.
And I just want to know a timeline.
Contact info. I don't know about. I can't tell you an exact time on any of this stuff. I'm saying we'll get to it as soon as we can. Like I said, they're already working on the computers. If there's nothing in there, I don't know if because the DA. I can tell you it's unfolding right now. They're still interviewing people, and
Okay.
they're like interviewing people a lot.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not like we have just a couple folks and then we're done. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on here.
Okay.
This thing, I can tell you that we've been working on it for 6 weeks, and the day that you were brought down here was a huge break, and a whole lot of stuff went on there. I can also tell you that detective that was in here, the female, she had to leave for a reason, and it was about this case.
Okay.
And she won't be. She's going to be dealing with that for the next couple of days and not getting any sleep, along with another guy who's from this department. So it's not like it's I can tell you there's about there's 7 detectives working on this, maybe 8 depending on, and then if we pull other people in, there's more than that. Plus, we've got SWAT guys who are special units, and they're working on a bunch of leads and stuff. Anytime we have something where we need to go out and talk to people and we don't have time to do it, we send them out in 2s and 3s. So we're talking like many, many police officers.
Yeah.
And what have you heard about this from, what do you know, news or anything?
We did when I was at my friend's. I said, basically we kind of looked up everything, kind of tried to see what we could find.
Mm-hmm.
And all we found was like 5 days before they said they believe she's alive.
And what have you heard just in the last couple of days since we talked to you?
Nothing. I've been trying to find stuff because I want to know what's going on, obviously.
I wish I could tell you, but because of your status and because of your involvement here, I can't. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, it would make it a lot easier on you if I could, and you'd understand
Yeah,
how
it
much,
would.
how detailed we are, and why I can't tell you. I mean, it'll become apparent when you finally learn.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff going on here, and if the FBI is involved, bet there's a lot more stuff going on.
Yeah.
I sat in a meeting for 2 hours yesterday with about 15 people from the FBI and a whole bunch of other attorneys from that aren't just DAs. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and I do, like I said, I really, really, really do want her to be found, and anything I can do to help. I told you before I had a friend who disappeared. He was found dead.
Where was that at?
That was in Alaska. It was a long time ago. He was found frozen in the mud flats when it melted at the end of the winter.
So, get stuck out there or something?
Yeah, and we didn't know what happened to him, and just searching and searching and searching, and his family coming up. And I know what it's, I know how devastated all the people in her life must be. And I do want to, don't think that I don't care just because I need to function in my life.
I can understand. I mean, when you were the other, and I could. There's nothing that I can explain that's going to make you feel better about the other night, except for I can tell you that it was technique. It was.
And I could recognize that, and I didn't appreciate it because I would have been happy to answer anything.
I know.
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
But that's where we were, and that's what we. And it was a long night for everybody. And I know you had this thrown on your plate like wow, bam. Okay.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you coming in today and give us all this information because it actually makes you right now in a whole lot better light than it did when you left that night. Okay. All this stuff that you're handing me is backing up stuff that we've learned in the last 2 days, specifically me, about all your flights and everything. Okay.
Yeah. But I could have given you all that night if you would have just asked and let me look in my bag. That's all I needed to tell you this. I just couldn't remember.
I didn't have your bag here, and we needed you to search warrant.
He had
for
the
your
phone.
vehicle.
I could have at least looked on that.
All
you had to do was let me look through my text. I wouldn't have taken anything off or done anything. I just couldn't. You can't remember if you're not trying to pay attention to remember things. It's really hard to remember.
Right.
It's hard for me to remember things I am trying to remember, and let alone things like I'm not paying attention to. Because why do I think I have to remember these things?
Right. Let me do a couple things here and show you some stuff and make sure that we're playing on the same sheet of music, which it does look like we are. First one, I know this isn't going to be. This is your ex. Is that correct?
That is.
That's him. Okay. Make sure we got the right guy. Okay. Got a couple of things here. Can you remember anything about your trip to Florida from New Orleans?
Yes. So when my friend picked me up, the 11th, the first thing we did was just decide to drive as far down as we could get that night. I think we made it Florida Capital's Tallahassee, right?
And so you made
we spent the night there. That was our first night. And then we had originally thought we'll go down to Miami and visit my friends. But we realized it was just way too far because we had driven so far. And we're like, we don't want to spend the whole time driving. So we spent the first night in Tallahassee. Then we turned around. And the next night, trying to remember, it was a beach town. And then we drove
Fort Walton Beach or Pensacola?
We did spend a night in Pensacola, I think. No, let me think.
Panama City?
That sounds familiar. Yes.
So Panama City.
Yes.
Okay.
And trying to remember. Told you I can't remember things.
How about we do this? I'm going to read you through here, and you tell me if I'm right or not.
Okay.
On the 11th, you drove out of New Orleans, and you went into Tallahassee.
Yes.
Right. On the 12th, you came back to Panama City.
That sounds familiar.
Next day, you went to Fort Walton Beach.
Sounds familiar.
And then you went to Pensacola for a few days.
Yes, that sounds familiar.
How many days?
I think we stayed 2 nights.
Okay, and you left out of there maybe on the 16th-ish, right?
That sounds about right.
And then you drove back to Louisiana.
Yes.
Maybe Beau Bridge.
Yes.
All right.
I do remember that
because we went into Baton Rouge.
Yes.
Okay, and then after that, you had a couple more days. Where'd you end up?
New Orleans. We were staying in the Baywater B&B.
Okay.
And we stayed there Saturday, I think was our first night. So 18th, 19th, 20th, and 21st. And then the 22nd I flew home.
All right. Good enough. So we're accounting for you for all those days. That's one of the things I need to do. All right. Let's go back here. Make sure I got the same days you do. That's pretty close to what I got. So let me see. Bounce it off here, and let's see if there's any changes I might ask you about.
Okay.
The first one, you were sure he was home and he was packing on the 1st, and that was about what time in the evening time? It was midnight when you went to bed?
I went to bed around midnight, and he was still up.
What was he doing before that? Was he working that day? Did he come home from a work site?
I don't remember. I got home. I usually get home from work anywhere between 6, 7, sometimes later.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. I mean...
Don't remember if he was there or not?
No, I mean, I remember him being there when I went to bed. I'm pretty sure he was there. I mean... I'm pretty sure he was... I'm trying to remember. I mean, I don't remember if he left to do errands or not.
Don't force it.
Yeah, I don't want to tell you something that's wrong, because I just don't remember. I remember he was definitely there, if not all night, most of the night. He may have left to do an errand or something, but I just don't remember.
Okay. And you get home between 6 and 7-ish from work.
Yeah. And he was there when I got back.
Okay. And then...
because he never, would have left by herself or anything.
Right. And he flew out.
That morning, the next morning.
The next morning, and was with him in the cab.
Yes.
Gone.
Yes.
Now the guns were in his bag.
Yes.
In that black, the one we saw with the thing cut off of it, right? He's gone. All right. When you get down there and we're in that rental car, where were those guns at?
I think they were in the back, because I brought them with me to New Orleans because... Again, I was really annoyed that I had to do that day because I had so many things to get done and patient charts to finish and all that. And I looked at a receipt, and I know it was that day that I went and bought the case. I looked through my, what I could. And so that day, I picked up his suitcase from storage at the Anchorage airport.
Okay.
And
did they make you sign for it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and he had given my name as the one who'd be picking it up.
Okay.
So I brought that. I think I told you I took it into Walmart, case, guns in it, and everything. And I said, can I have these here? Can you get me
Which Walmart you go to?
The one on Midtown,
A Street.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I took them in there, and I said, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to have these guns here, but can you get me a case? These will fit in.
Okay.
Because I just didn't know what to do.
And was it already cut open at that point?
No,
okay.
I just said I need one about this size. I don't know if I can have a case with guns in here, but I need something about this size. Right. So I bought one, brought it back, and then a couple of my male friends were coming over that night, and I said, can you help me cut this open? And I really, I don't even like touching guns because they kind of...
Okay, this is going to be important. Male friends, names.
The one who took the guns out for me.
And do you have his phone number in your phone?
Yeah.
Okay. And how old?
40s.
40s.
He's married to my friend. She's 45.
Where do they live?
They live New Turnagain. So I'm an old Turnagain. They're in New Turnagain.
Okay.
Address.
I should be able to find him.
Yeah.
And how about the other guy? Did he help
he
with the
didn't
guns?
show up until later,
so
he didn't help.
Done.
It was just that helped me. He's a hunter, so I figured he'd be a good source.
So he cut it open?
I think so. I think he cut it open, not me.
And the guns are in there. You looked at them, and you remember him unloading them.
Yeah,
before.
he unloaded them because I didn't want to do that because he said you can't have the ammunition in there, which I guess was wrong because the guy at the airport said it can be in there as long as it's not loose. But he said, I don't think you can have that. So he unloaded it. He pocketed the small, little, tiny ones. He's like, oh, I need these. And he said they're about a penny each. They're really cheap. And he put them in his, in his pocket.
So 22.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was his grandpa's old gun, I think. And then the other he took out but left it, and they were a little bit bigger. I have some of those at home. I almost brought you one.
That's okay. Did you take them with when? Did you put them in the case?
I left them
so
in the old one.
So they went down there empty?
Yes.
Okay,
they went down there empty.
You put them in the case? Did you put a lock on the case?
Yes, I bought a lock with that had a key because I couldn't check it in without it being locked and having a lock to open it.
Okay.
And that's the whole reason I had to do all this because he had the key with him for the lock.
I understand completely.
So I took it back to New Orleans with me, and so that he could take them to his mom's.
Okay.
And then he didn't make it. He got stuck in the mud, couldn't, get back to his mom's or, all of that stuff. So I think he ended up bringing them back, if I remember right.
Do you remember that?
Well, I remember him talking about, yes, because I remember him saying that he was telling me all this hassle that he had at the airport in Texas about how, like, he was waiting and waiting to get on his flight, and they had to be, through security, and he said, and then I asked the guy, what, like, are you guys done, like, processing this? And they're like, oh, yeah, it's already down the thing. And then he's like, well, don't you want me to lock it? And then it was a big hassle, because I guess they had to go grab it, and it was like this big old, I remember that because of how much he told me about it.
And did you see the guns when he brought them back?
No.
No, he just said it. He just said that happened.
He told me about all that stuff that happened, but he would, he's...
And you assumed the other night when we were talking that the gun...
I assumed it was the new
that
one, but it's not. He took them back with him. He must have.
Okay. But you're
Sorry, I
not
have
sure...
post-it
No,
with
no, but you're not sure that he took them back because you didn't see them then either, right?
Yeah, I don't remember seeing them, but I believe him. I mean, I have no reason to believe... He wouldn't have made it... He's not the type to make up a big convoluted story about getting through security. Like, I totally believe him that he had them with him when he came back. And
All right. Okay. Let's see here. Where was it? Oh, okay. Cruise. Dun, dun, dun. You're not sure when he flew back. I understand that. That's good. Oh, you flew back on the 22nd.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me your route. How'd you get back?
Oh, that was... So from New Orleans,
Mm-hmm.
because of Mardi Gras, super booked, so I had to take Southwest from New Orleans to Houston Hobby, like the smaller one. Or no, Dallas Love Field, that was it.
So you went
I went
Southwest
from New Orleans,
Airlines. New Orleans.
New Orleans to Dallas Love Field.
Dallas Love. Yeah, nice little field. Okay.
And then I took a cab
Cab.
from Dallas Love Field to Dallas Fort Worth. And then I got on Alaska Air.
And you got Alaska Air. Okay. That closes one of the books.
I used miles for everything but the Southwest flight.
Got it. How much that Southwest flight cost you that time of year?
I think $2 something.
So,
It was
terrible.
cheaper than, anything else I could have
Anything else
done.
going on? Yeah, Southwest isn't bad. All right. So I'll go down through some of these questions and we'll get back around to how things work. Well, we got one of them down already. We know who she is. That's Mom.
Mm-hmm, that's Mom.
Okay, and we think that Mom had something to do with buying his tickets back from down there, correct?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she did because, he told me that she put the change stuff on her credit card because he didn't have enough money to do it. Because I think he thought a client had bounced a check. He wasn't sure, but he didn't have money in his account. And
Who's his account with?
Alaska USA.
Alaska USA. Do you have one too?
Yes,
Yeah, where's that with?
Alaska USA.
Both that, yeah, it's Alaska USA. So his credit card's probably with Alaska USA. Does he have a different credit card with anybody?
He has a Bank of America Visa, and he probably has others, but I'm not sure who with.
Okay.
I could probably go through his stuff at home if they haven't already taken it and tell you,
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll see what... I'm not sure. Like I say, I looked at a lot of pictures, and I was just trying to pull out stuff that was important from that crime scene. So how did you purchase your initial tickets way back? And
Mine?
yeah.
Miles.
Well, yours was Miles, but you didn't purchase at the same time he did.
No, because I wasn't even sure that I wanted to go on the cruise with them in the first place.
Okay.
So then I finally said, okay, like we're getting along as friends and stuff, and I'll go ahead and go, and then once I found out my friend could meet me at the end of the cruise, because I didn't want to go all that way and use all my miles for 5 nights.
Right.
So once I found that my definitely meet me and I could hit Mardi Gras, because I just love New Orleans, then I decided to go ahead and go. So I used my miles to get it, and all I had to pay was like the $10-20 or whatever.
Right. Okay. But they purchased theirs way back. And
Yeah.
Did he buy this cruise or did you?
He bought it, and then I owed him. So for him to buy the cruise, I have the receipt for that.
When was that? Did they do it? How'd they buy the cruise? Or how'd
He
they
bought
buy
it, I think, on his credit card.
from Travelocity?
Yeah, he bought it Travelocity. Here's the, the reservation number and
Was
everything.
that back in October by chance? That's okay. Don't have to look it up. If you got it there, I'll be able to
He
find
sent it to me January 27th, but he had already purchased it.
it. Okay. Sometime in the
It
past.
doesn't really say, but I think the price was on here. Okay. I thought it was. If it's not here, I have it somewhere else because I remember seeing it.
I think if we got that, we could probably figure it out. And it's not a big deal.
I think it was like 800, 880, something like that. Rings a bell. And so I paid the difference between what it would have been for him to buy it for just the two of them and then adding me.
Okay. All right. Cool.
But he did buy it before that. He'd had it. He was just waiting for the price to go down because he figured it would, as it got closer.
Right. Okay.
So.
All right. But you're not sure how he paid for it.
No, I would assume a credit card, but I have no idea knowing how he paid for it.
Okay. Answered that one. Answered that one. Does he have a bank account?
I don't think so. She has a piggy bank.
Got a college fund for her or anything?
Not that I know of.
I got the guy's name who helped unload your guns.
Yeah. He's going to be really shocked if you call him.
Okay. And you think the guns went back within the second time?
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't think...
Okay, let's go use your thing here.
Mm-hmm.
So this was a leap year.
Where was the other page?
I got it in my
okay.
hand right here. I also got it sitting on top of mine. So this was a leap year. So we had, 29 days in February. Is that right this year? Yep. Okay, so this one runs up to there. Now, after he got back, was he doing work where he would have gone and hit the city dump when he left?
Possibly.
Does he go to the dump himself?
He does sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if he did.
Does he take your vehicle?
No.
Takes the truck.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So he could have gone, but you don't know if he did or not.
Yeah, he could have, but I don't know.
Okay. I'm not sure if I could have. And then, check my other note here. So, can you tell me what you were doing after you got back? So you know he was here, right?
Yeah, because after I thought about it, I remember him picking me up. Because I thought about it, and
right.
The reason I remember that is because the guy I met in New Orleans, I remember he said, "Hey, call me when you get back," and I said, I just don't want to rub this in Izzy's face, and even though there's no reason I can't call you, I just prefer not to make him feel sad.
Right. Okay.
And that's kind of why I remember him picking me up now.
Does he have like a depression problem?
He's been depressed, yeah. He's been really depressed.
Since?
He always gets depressed in the winter. He gets the seasonal, so he always takes every winter.
Okay.
So he was on, and I remember it started before Thanksgiving, I know that. And he had been working less and less. He just sat around and didn't, he was just... Yeah, he was drinking a lot. Like, I remember throwing one of his glasses of whiskey down the sink around his birthday time because I had to do something, and I remember getting back that night, and he was really drunk, and I dumped it down the sink because I didn't like him drinking so much because I was worried about him.
Yeah.
And he was drinking a lot. He was depressed. I wouldn't say he's ever been as depressed as he was then. He's usually just has that kind of seasonal thing.
Yeah. We deal with a lot of people that have that, so it's not surprising to me that somebody else does.
But it was worse than normal, and I just figured it was because, and it had been going on for a lot of the winter, and I think it's just because he was lost. He didn't know, he was kind of saying, he'd been doing jobs for these rich people in Hillside and how much they complained about not having money, not having this, that. And he's like, there's people starving in the world, and they're worried about if they can afford this expensive whatever. And so he was really disillusioned with his job because he used to love it because he felt like he was making a difference. He was leaving things that were beautiful behind. Like when he lived in Nia Bay, he felt like he was really making a difference for the village. So he was feeling disillusioned about that. He didn't know where to live when he moved out. Couldn't afford to get something in Anchorage. I mean, he doesn't charge people a lot of money because he is a great contractor but a bad businessman. Sometimes people don't pay him. He tries to give people a really good deal, so I don't think he charges enough. It's like he's way cheaper than other contractors. So, I think that was a lot of the depression, too, is, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. All right, that makes sense. So when you get back, let's see, where was it? Looking upside down here. So
Yeah, that's okay.
you fly back on the 22nd. What goes on for these days in here?
Well, I was back at work. I worked the 23rd off this day, and I was back at work 27, 28, back to work normally after that.
Anybody at your house?
Not that I know of. I was thinking.
How about a guy by the name of...
Yeah. So, okay, I thought you meant people I don't know.
Okay.
So, flew in. He flew in.
There.
Could be, I don't know.
Okay.
He flew in somewhere in here, and he was in town. I think he stayed like 3 or 4 nights.
Right.
And then he flew out to go to Spain.
Okay. All right, so he flew in. You hung out with him off and on.
Yep.
Type thing. How about Izzy?
Izzy hung out with him a lot
Hung out
too.
with
Yeah.
him?
Well,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Izzy took him to the airport the night he left, and I know that
That
they.
was like in somewhere over in
Yeah.
here. Okay.
That sounds familiar for some reason, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Because I was working, and I remember I was really exhausted, so I didn't want to do anything, and I felt bad because it was his last night.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm just too tired to do anything. So, yeah.
Okay. And somewhere in here, did you go to the opera or symphony?
Yes.
When
I
was
went,
that?
I think it was Friday.
Okay. All right. So you think you went on this day in here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then I went, I think it was this day. Yeah, because First Friday, I remember going to First Friday, but that was this day, because this would have been the first Friday week.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that was the night I went to the opera.
All right. Okay. We hit this last time you were here, and I don't want to beat it to death, so if you don't remember, you don't remember. Okay. That truck of his.
Mm-hmm.
We're so sure that the back end was off of that, like around the first part of February, that it's pretty much beyond our, there's no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that?
I do not. I like over the last couple of days, or ever since you guys had me in here, I've been thinking about it. And, when I leave, it's dark. When I get home, it's dark. I wouldn't even notice that if I didn't have a reason to.
Yeah.
I honestly do not remember that being off. I just don't.
Okay, no problem. Now, let's go back to when it was on the old blue truck.
The old truck?
The old truck.
Yeah.
The old blue Ford truck.
Yeah.
Right? It was on the back of that.
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember how he got it from that truck to the new truck?
I don't know. I mean, he just took it off. He moved the whole darn shed by himself. I mean, I don't know.
Okay. So that shed that's out back, that 3-door thing?
No, not that one. That one he just built
the
back
little-
there.
the little
the
one that's
little
out front.
white one, because he moved it to the front because that was a carport, and he turned it into a garage for me, and he moved it out front because he wouldn't have been able to take it with him if he stayed in Anchorage. If it was in the backyard, he wouldn't be able to get it through the garage. So he moved that thing by himself, from what I
Okay.
remember. I kind of remember seeing him do that. So he's pretty,
Okay. So if he were to have to, is there someplace he could go and say, that you know of, that he could go and back into and maybe lift that thing up with a piece of rope and a hoisted pulley system or anything? Or, does he work has he had work someplace like that, or anything you can think of, a garage bigger than yours that might have a system like that?
I can't think of anything like that, no.
Okay. Because I'm just looking at it going, I could probably do this with enough ingenuity and enough time, but to put it back on by myself would be a little tougher than taking it off.
I'm pretty sure he did all that by himself the first time when he took it off the old one.
So you think he moved it from the other truck to
probably.
that
I mean, he's pretty good at that kind of thing. Like, he really is. I'm always kind of shocked at some of the stuff he can do by himself. I'm like, how in the world did,
Well, I mean, he works with his hands, and sometimes ingenuity is fairly
Yeah.
easy to come by. If you look at it long enough, you can figure out a way to do stuff, so that's probably true. I think we've gone down all of these questions that I had, and I'll go ask the sergeant about seeing if he calls, and make sure we run these things. Now, can I make copies of all this stuff?
Yes.
Okay, so let me do that.
You can have this.
Have
if you
those.
want.
Okay, and I'll need this.
You can
for
have
them.
that stuff I told you about if you want.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see why you can't have all
I'll
this.
let me just make. Well, I guess I could put it all in one little. This is the actual.
Yeah, and he may want this picture back.
Well, why don't I just
so-
make a picture of that, because I don't see that as having any evidence. I mean, that's just his
His
sister,
family,
right,
yeah.
down in
And
Texas,
her new
probably, and her new
husband.
beau. Okay,
Mhm.
so let me go make some copies of this. I'll ask the.
I just don't.
boss.
Yeah, this is just. I don't see him, doing. It's just. I know you can't tell me. It's just so
Well,
frustrating.
this is, and I've been doing this long enough to know that there's been times where I've actually had wives go, no possible way on earth, and then when you show them the evidence later, they're like, oh my God. And then they start coming up with, oh, I did see this at one point, or I did see that at one point, and then just kind of didn't see that. It just something that brushes over your head while you're not believing it. And then the next thing that happens is you're like, oh, wait a minute. Now that I see this, now that I'm thinking this happened on this day, or that type of thing. It's happened more times than I care to talk about, because I've been doing this for over 15 years, and it's just not some people just don't know people as well as they think they do, unfortunately. Yeah. It's strange.
Do you think somebody could change so much? I mean, he's always been a really good guy, That's why I stayed with him for as long as I did, until the stuff that happened in the shed that I told you about, that was kind of beginning of the end, because I wasn't cool with it,
I don't know what changes people. I'm not a psychologist. I could never figure that out. The whole thing, is there's been so many turns and twists in this thing that I couldn't even begin to tell you how many rabbit holes we've gone down and how many other things we've chased and how many people we've talked to. I mean, literally, it's in the hundreds. So this is a pretty big thing that's going on right now, and I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you for the second time if we didn't have something pretty impressive going on. Okay? Let me go make some copies. Before I walk out, any other questions my supervisor might be able to ask?
I don't think so. Did you want this too?
Yeah, I'll make copies of all this stuff and get it. I'll take these.
You can have it.
We'll
It's
throw
okay.
it in there, and I'll get you back the other stuff and I'll make a copy of this. Yeah.
Hi, sir. Don't mean to interrupt. Do you have a minute?
Yeah, I'm coming out right now. I'm going to make some copies.
Okay.
Okay?
I think that was all. And you have my number. My friends got me a Go phone so that I could at least, if you called, you'd have a way to reach me.
Right. Let me write it down
So you're
again.
thinking my car could be a very long time.
I'm
You're
thinking
the
it's
phone,
going to be. I'm
possibly.
hoping the phone. I'm hoping the phone next week. Okay. No guarantees on that, but we should be. Once I get the search warrant done, then it just take our guys going in and just putting it on a program and pulling everything off there. And then after that, I don't personally see any reason why you shouldn't be able to get it back. Okay. But that's me again saying that, and the DA and the FBI may change my whole entire mind.
Is there any help I can get to get a rental car or something so I can get to work? Or
Let me find
because
out.
the buses don't work with my work hours and stuff. And
Yeah, I don't. I can't think of anything right now, but I'll go out while I'm making copies. I'll bounce it off the guys and see what they come up with. Okay? You want some water or coffee or anything?
Water, please.
All right, I'll be right back.